Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of having a conversation with Lena Solomon, who is a recognized industry thought leader, a published author, and director of globalization and accessibility at ServiceNow. So, Lena, welcome. Welcome to the conversation, and thanks again. Huge thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Olga. Very nice to be here.
Okay, wonderful. So what we'll be talking about today will be a little bit moving away from traditional localization practices, and we'll be talking more about global product delivery and internationalization and global product strategy. And that's very much, I would say, Lena, that's probably the focus of your professional attention at the moment.
That's right. For several years now, ServiceNow internationalization team has been targeting non-English user experience. And our goal is to enable non-English speakers to accomplish tasks as fast as English speakers can. So usability metrics is how we measure our success. We also moved globalization as well as accessibility to the beginning of the software design and development lifecycle, which allows us to design global product from the start. And most importantly, that way our design teams and engineering teams are developing product with internationalization at the core of their product. And we're also empowering our customers to create multilingual experiences and make their users more productive because we are focusing on the whole user journey. So that's how we shifted our focus from specifically just internationalization to more global product.
Great. Thanks so much for this introduction. So, Lena, I find your own career journey truly fascinating, right? You started in localization, right? And then you obviously built up quite a bit of technical expertise and strategic expertise, and then took all this technical knowledge to actually taking the next step in your career, right? And moving over to a strategic unit and became a true global product strategist and evangelist. Would you please talk to us a little bit about what was your journey like, what made you make those decisions, and some insights about your career journey, which I'm pretty sure our audience will find very, very interesting.
So what always fascinated me is the product development, and I always loved simplicity in design and function. So when I joined the product teams that created software, it was very interesting to me to learn how everything worked, how to talk about it to various stakeholders, and how to actually design and change the product so it's usable by everyone. It helped to have a lot of experience in storytelling and engineering and analytics and collecting insights, and understanding how people use something you create so you can create something better. So I always wanted to be a part of the transformation process of the product, and now I get a chance to do it every day.
Wonderful. Sounds truly interesting and fascinating. And actually, do you mind if I pause for a second on storytelling? I'm not sure if everybody, myself included, actually, in the audience understands the concept of storytelling when it comes to product development, lifecycle, and localization. Could you just unpack it for us for a second?
I think one of the most effective capabilities of product is to explain to everybody around you why we're doing what we're doing, how to prioritize specific features, or why this problem is worth considering. A lot of times, especially in engineering, people dive immediately into technology and solutions without highlighting the business problem that we're solving. And storytelling helps a lot because in most companies, localization and internationalization are not the primary focus of the enterprise. We are value add, but most of the focus is on something else. So, trying to explain to people why internationalization is important, why global user experience is important, takes a lot of skills in storytelling when you describe how horrible it is for a person who does not speak English trying to accomplish something with your software and they cannot. So, one of the stories I usually tell is about a prank that kids usually play on their parents. And a lot of them did when they switch your language from English into Chinese on an iPhone. So now try and switch it back into English. And most parents require a separate phone just to remember the menus that they have to select to get back to English. So that is a very illustrative explanation why we need to provide native languages to people who are using your products.
Okay, apparently my son was missing out on huge opportunities there. But okay, let's pivot a little bit back to the role of global product strategist. As we all know, and it's not the fact anymore, but I would say it was for years, where global product delivery localization was a tad of an afterthought, right? Like, I mean, things would have happened, and then we receive it, and then we're like, oh, damn, why are these variables hard coded? And how do I fit my German content and Chinese content into the same UX, right? And all those things that we're very well familiar with. Again, the world has changed dramatically. But my question to you would be, how do you work with internal stakeholders? And how do you exercise influence upstream? And how do you collect insights? We'll know that we are in data-driven businesses, right? So what kind of data and what kind of analytics do you need to provide to, yet again, tell your story? So let's talk a little bit about all this upstream influencing and engaging with local stakeholders.
So every company is different. Our company is very focused on customers and very focused on analytics and telemetry. So those are my top tools of how to create a story and how to prioritize. I talk to customers very often. I learn how they use our platform and what they are trying to accomplish with multiple, tools that we provide. So very rarely would customers buy any software just because it's translated. Um, our customers buy ServiceNow platform because it is unified, scalable, and extensible. It is a system of records and provide workflow automation across enterprise. And the efficiencies that we offer are usually utilized by people. And those people are the ones who do not only speak English, but multiple other languages. So when we're focusing on adoption, on expanding our platform into other products, especially HR, for example, um, people come into focus immediately. So it's easier for me to tie my story to the success of those product organizations within our company who are trying to build product that is useful and accessible for everyone. And everybody understands the importance of multilingual software. Often it is hard to prioritize or hard to learn what it means. And so one of my tools is to explain how it will work on the back end. We do some thought experiments and brainstorming about how to create software that is global and usable. So that's how I mostly work with internal stakeholders in the product organization. And I'm also very lucky to work with an incredible internationalization engineering team who are not only dedicated to creating really good internationalized products and very good at it, they're also very passionate about the users. So together, we really have a very good opportunity to make a difference.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe we talk a little bit about the actual process of engaging with stakeholders in general. I mean, it could be specific to a company or your expertise in general. So, what does it actually entail? Like, what would be an actual process of gathering requirements, making sure that the product is internationalization friendly? And how do you take those requirements, or what would be your recommendation for taking those requirements further to the product team and then from product and engineering? And what would be the ideal involvement scenario for global product strategists like yourself? I know I'm asking like 45 questions in one, but I just want to see like how can we build the most comprehensive picture of what it actually entails?
So the basics are, including internationalization into engineering definition of done. So that way, your software is built based on internationalization, best practices, and requirements. And then once you have that in place, the product can actually look at what we're building and ask the question, is this going to work for non-English speaking users? And it starts with design. So you go and look at the components and do the usual internationalization assessment. Can the field expand? Can it accommodate right to left language? How it will look like on a mobile phone? And all of those questions you pose to the teams that develop product. So my goal was usually to make sure that when they develop it, they think about people who do not speak English. And if they have a question, we have information for them to consume or to reach out to me and ask questions. I also do a lot of one-on-one
Mhm.
conversations with people to understand what they're doing and offer some suggestions. And those are not just the product managers, it's also strategic teams that define go-to-market approaches and analyze how we can be successful there, and language might or might not come into play there. So I consult in those conversations and say if we should consider languages or not for the future roadmap. Most of the time, however, I do presentations at town halls or various team meetings just to talk about how it works within our platform so people are aware.
Wonderful. I'm actually going to ask a question that's top of my mind. Is we all know, right, that not all languages are born equal when it comes to complexity, right? And challenges of those specific languages. And as you've been talking, I've been thinking, okay, it's all amazing, but like working, for instance, for a company that delivers content across the globe, how do you actually make sure that the processes are scalable and you're able to cater to simpler languages and more complex languages, right? At the end of the day, there is you, right? And there are this many stakeholders. How do you ensure scalability and like linguistic and wearing your linguist hat, how do you ensure linguistic awareness of different languages and different complexities for different geos?
So all of those processes are operational. As a company like ours, we have processes in place not only to deliver very big corpus of content, but we also have processes in place to check the quality. So that is more tactical, which is not really my focus. My focus is to making our customers successful. And that is to make sure that our customers can deliver their own content to the users. Because when you're using our platform as a user of a customer, nobody cares which part of it was delivered by ServiceNow and translated by ServiceNow. and which part of it was translated by the customer itself. So our goal is to empower our customers to translate at the same level as we do their content and deliver it the whole cohesive experience to their users. So from that perspective, we use the experience and the technology that we use within the company to help customers deliver translations at scale.
Thank you. And obviously, indeed, you're in that unique position, right? Where it's not the software is not the platform is not the end product, right? But the actually vehicle for your customers to develop their own applications. And I agree. Yeah, it's very interesting that indeed you enable them to deliver the best global application that they can while being responsible for the platform side of it. That's very interesting. And actually, that brings about another question. So, what about accessibility? Since you were, if I understand correctly, you were two hats, right? And accessibility now quite often comes packaged with global product strategy. So, any words of wisdom or anything you would like to share about the accessibility part of your universe, and maybe again how it applies to global products?
So, accessibility and globalization is a very powerful combination, usually, especially now when there's a lot of legislation across the world where access to languages is considered accessibility requirement. Accessibility in some cases is the same, and in other cases is completely different from globalization. Um, on the similarity side, it it works across the whole business organization. So everything we build needs to be accessible. It needs to work with the technology tools that allows people with different disabilities to be able to consume content, operate on the software, etc. So often we are testing other people's tools, other companies' tools to work with our systems. From that perspective, it's very important to also have audits by third parties to conform with the requirements. It is quite different for internationalization and globalization because there we usually look at usability. Can people who do not speak English use our software with the same efficiency as English speakers do? So it's not exactly compliance with regulations. It's more of usability standards in terms of quality that we switched to a while ago.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And again, you cannot underestimate the importance of accessibility, again, in the context of global product delivery. Now, I leave it to you to guess what my next question is going to be and where I'm going with all this. There's something that's, again, top of everybody's mind now.
Probably AI.
Bingo. Okay. Okay. So we've covered on a lot of interesting points. Now let's see, where do you think all of these initiatives and the overall, again, global product and global platform delivery practices, where is that all going in the age of AI? And what would be your maybe company strategic vision, but also your own personal point of view?
AI changed everything. It seems to me it's like aliens landing on Earth because we hope they will change us for the better, but at the same time, we are concerned that they might destroy us. And I think it's the same attitude towards AI because we cannot go back to where we were before. Everybody's using AI. It is going to change things for the best and makes things more efficient. And it's not really that new to us in localization industry with machine translation. It feels to me we were a little bit better prepared for AI than perhaps some other industries. Um, so I think from the AI perspective, there's great opportunities for delivering content at the quality that the customers expect across a lot of languages. There are now capabilities for languages that are rare, but there's no need to train them. And when we look at the future and capabilities that AI would allow us to do, it seems to me that we're going towards language agnostic platforms and software where it doesn't matter where you are, what language you speak, you are able to interact with teams and companies and um, anything pretty much in your native language. So, to some extent, it is also allows us to build powerful, scalable, intelligent systems to address specific gaps and make it accessible and useful to people across the globe. So I'm very optimistic in what AI can bring us as linguists and the efficiencies we can offer the whole world.
Fantastic. But having said that, it's absolutely, and I agree, the AI capabilities in loc universe and global content, right? Not just technical localization, but overall global content delivery ecosystem the importance of AI could not be overstated. And to your point, we definitely came into it. Our industry probably came prepared maybe more than many other industries, right? And at the end of the day, if you look at generative AI, large language models are called large language models for a reason, right? So definitely our journey to overall automation and global content delivery has started long, long, long time ago. Now, let's see what surprised you most as you're watching the AI journey in your own company, which is exceptionally AI savvy and AI innovative, and overall in the global content space. What was like, hey, I didn't see that coming. What would that be?
The speed of change is incredible. When you look at where we were a week, a month ago, we are so far surpassed even the best guess, I guess, the best forecast that we had. So I think it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be easier, it's going to be simpler to deal with it. So the rate of advancement is going to be really large. And I think that also there's an opportunity for us to create languages as a type of personalization for UI layer. And that probably would be surprising eventually how easy it is to interact with everything through that language layer without worrying about translation.
Very, very fair. I have another question, but maybe we'll save it for later. What is it going to do in terms of delivering content for long tail languages? Do they benefit from having everything accessible in English and translatable? Is it going to foster the adoption of those languages, or do you think it's going to have the adverse effect? And
To some extent, I think the translation as a process will change a lot
Mhm.
because knowledge does not have to exist in one language. It can exist as a concept and then translated into those languages. When you think about it, it's probably more comprehensive and understandable when any thought is expressed in the native language of the person who is listening to it. So translation itself probably will change a lot. Right now we have English as the source of everything. I don't think it has to be. So this is the most interesting part, I think, of content is the knowledge-based content, and how it will evolve will be extremely interesting to see.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. I wish we had another hour to discuss all this topic. It's been exceptionally interesting and insightful. But Lena, thanks so much for your great insights. Again, you bring the perspective that maybe we're not exposed to every day. So huge thanks for your insight and thanks so much for joining us. And I hope we get an opportunity to talk again because I feel like there are so many topics that we did not cover.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.